Welcome, YouTubers. This week's lesson video is going to be something that I've been studying, not really studying, but going over with a student of mine. And she's getting into the pentatonic shapes, and she wants to learn some blues and things like that. But I have mentioned time after time after time on these videos related to bluegrass that the pentatonic scale is invaluable. It really makes a big difference in your playing. And a lot of people get stuck in just one shape. And I know that all the shapes on the fretboard are kind of intimidating, looking at all that garbled mess of dots everywhere. But I'm going to try to do something today that will make it a little bit easier to learn some of the shapes, or at least partial shapes of bluegrass, of pentatonic scales. Let's start with the key of G, since we play a lot in G, in bluegrass. We're going to start, most of you by now probably know, and if you don't, please learn it, the box 1 position of the pentatonic scale, minor pentatonic scale. And generally this is what I call box 1 of minor or major, whatever. This is known as position 1. And that's going to be right here. Okay. You always want to end on a root note, by the way. A lot of people end up doing this and they'll go to the end and they'll end there. But now it doesn't sound like a G, it sounds like an A. Or excuse me, a sharp or B flat. So we always want to end on the G note, whether we come up to that last note or not and come back, or just don't hit that last note at all and end on the A note. Okay, so that shape is for the fret wise on the E string. We're going to go E, you know, A, D, and all that. That's going to be 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 6. So it's very easy to remember because the first string and the last two strings share the same whole plus a half step pattern. That's a 3 fret span, 1, 2, 3. The last two do the same thing. And the middle is very easy because it's the same whole step shape on through the A, the D, and the G strings. What I'm going to do today is get you kind of familiar with getting outside of that box, so to speak, and getting you more comfortable with moving and position shifting. And I'm going to do that by the use of 2 transition spots. And I'm going to call these extensions. We're going to have a lower and a higher extension, okay? So first of all, the first extension is going to be a lower extension. And here's how we're going to do this. We're going to come back. Here's the way we start the scale normally, right? But let's come back and start it at a whole step back, okay? So we're going to effectively add 1 extra note to the scale. We're going to do that and then come up and do the same thing on the next string. Now these other 2 notes here, this note we obviously started with, these other 2 notes are here, and we already have this one here in the main scale shape. So we've only added 1 note here, even though we've added, you know, another position. And if this is box 1 and we only have 5 positions, whenever we're going backwards, then now we're in the box 5 position. So instead of learning the whole box 5 shape, why not learn just 1 or 2 notes that will help you do more than just staying in one box position. That's the theory behind this. Now, the thing to remember on this is a transition point, and that is right here. The ring finger is always going to do the transitioning on the lower extension. And it's just going to be 1 slide, a whole step up, back into box 1 position. So from here you can follow the scale shape the rest of the way down. Okay, just like that. Now the cool thing is when we come back down, the ring finger once again is going to do the slide transition. And this is not going to be, if you're doing this on acoustic guitar and you're a beginner, you're going to want to pick this twice. There. I encourage you and stress that you don't need to do that because you just need to press it hard enough so that you can hear the slide happening. If you're not pressing hard enough, you'll get this. And you'll feel like it died, I've got to pick it again. You don't want to do that. Press hard enough so that you got a slide here, okay? Now, once again, going backwards, this is the magic note. You hit this note and you slide down. Once again, hit it hard enough and play it, you know, press it hard enough so that you get enough sound without having to pick it again. And then you're going to hit the rest of these notes here at the end of the transition. You can end it there, or you can end it like this. Okay, always end on that root note. All right. So that's transition number one. It's the lower extension. That's the other one. This is the higher extension. Now, before I go to the higher extension, there's tremendous value in these transitions and these extensions because this allows you to add little extra licks now. If you're not familiar with what to do with a scale shape, then this right here will help you, because now I can choose if I want to, instead of always choosing to start on the beginning of the scale shape, either this way or this way, and walking all the way up, I can now choose to start here if I want to. Basically on a scale, any scale, if you know the pattern, you can start on any note. You always want to end on a root note most of the time, because that allows you to, your ear to know what key you're in. But starting on a note, you can start just about anywhere. And now let's say I want to do a lick and I want to start on the transition point here of that lower extension. Okay, so that's a cool little lick. Or here's another one. Okay, so you can noodle around with that transition, not only going up, but try going down too. And then if you're not careful, just like I did, you'll transition on the D string, but that's not where it happens. It happens on the A string. So let's try that again. Okay, so mess around with that little transition there and those notes in the extension, and try your best to come up with new licks. All right. Now the second half of this is a higher extension. We're gonna go ahead and let's take it from the top, because you may not want to start with a transition here. You may be up here and noodling around, all of a sudden, you know, you still want a transition point higher. The transition point happens here, once again, with your ring finger, and it's going to happen here at the G string once we get to this position on the 5th fret. Once again, we're going to pick it once, then slide up, and we're going to need to have enough force in the pick. And I'm not talking about, you know, really hammer down on the string. You don't have to do that, but just enough to where you can hear it continue on. And your ring finger, your middle finger is going to come down on the B string there on the fret, but behind this. So we're sliding up a whole step from the 5th to the 7th, 6th fret, and if you want to, you can use your pinky to go right here to the high root note. And then we have this note as well, back on the 6th fret, or 6th fret E string, back on the 8th fret. So here's the shape of the extension itself. So we have 8, 6, 8, 6, 7. All right? And then the thing is, depending on how you're playing, if you want to come immediately back down, then you might want to lead with your ring finger here. This one is kind of interchangeable between the ring finger and the middle finger, because depending on if you want to hit these higher notes, your pinky, it will feel awkward to hit them with your pinky. So then you want to transition with your middle finger here. And then if you come back down, you'll just have to learn that this has to be a little bit bigger of a stretch here. Because you always want to land back on your first finger, because that's where it usually is in the scale shape anyway. The first finger hits all the notes on the 3rd fret here. Okay, so now that's okay, that feels comfortable, but if I wanted to go up higher in the next string, then I automatically want to use my first finger. So if I think I'm going to go higher, then I'll generally just go ahead and stretch that out and do that. Or if I still want to go higher and I kind of mess up, you kind of got to work out on your own fingering patterns and what you're going to do in the worst case scenario that you use the wrong finger. From then, I would just maybe slide up and then continue on with my first finger here. If not, the worst case scenario is I just have to come to this first finger when I want to go up higher. But that's a cool little, you know, thing to work on, is which finger is going to work best for you. Once again, the lower extension. Now this works on any key. As long as you're in box 1, you come down a whole step. Now you're in box 5 and you're on the lower extension. So if we were at A minor. cool thing in A is you can lift up and hit that E note. So you got an extra note there in that one. So that's really cool with the key of A. So there's all kinds of things you can do. These are the main notes, but you can hit notes in between those as passing tones. Remember, you always have this transition here. One little thing I've come up with recently is, let's go back to G here. So once again, you can come down the scale and transition up if you want to. You don't have to start from the bottom. You can transition anytime you want to. One thing I've come up with recently is when I get to this transition, I use this finger, the ring finger, to lead, and then I come back down here to the previous fret that this finger is not on. Then I use that as a transition point again. Okay, so that was just a slide. That wasn't the transition point, but that's a good slide. And this will also get you into sliding. If you're used to just picking everything, this forces you to kind of rely on a new technique, and that is sliding. Alright, so there's all kinds of bluesy things and bluegrassy things you can use for that technique. Alright, so that's been this lesson for this week. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much, and I hope you subscribe and click the like button below. Leave a comment below if you have any questions about this, or if you've found other ways to use the pentatonic scale. This can be used in all the other shapes as well. You can go to box 2 and try to find the lower extension and the higher extension of box 2. The same thing with box 3, 4, 5, all the way up to the fifth box. So try in order to work on your scale patterns and get better and more familiar with them, try to branch off a main pattern to the higher extension. If you're in box 4, the higher extension goes to box 5 because we're ascending. The lower extension goes to box 3. So kind of branch off on the higher and lower ends of each box pattern that you're working on so that you can get more familiar with what you can do. And this leads to what I call diagonals, which is transitions to get you up and down the fretboard. Now I'll go over this extensively in Texas Blues Guitar, my Texas Blues Guitar course, which should have a link below to that, and also in my up-and-coming Bluegrass Guitar course that's coming along slowly but surely. Rest assured, I'm right now in the middle of getting a video editor virtual assistant to help me out on that, and we're working together on some of that stuff. So hopefully that will happen very soon. Get all that in the in the works. The promo videos are done, and I've got to proof the tabs. And so yes, it is getting done. Please don't be discouraged that you won't see it. It's getting done. I'm trying to do it my best to get it done. I'm only one person trying to get some help. So, but that's for another time and another place. Just an update on that, a quick update. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to get off here for the day and go do some other stuff that has to be done. All right. Play some more guitar, enjoy bluegrass guitar, and just keep playing, man. Keep practicing. That's what it's going to take. If you really want to be good at what you're doing, you got to put the time in. And so hopefully this will give you a long enough time, between this week and next week's lesson or whatever. I think once a week is a pretty good amount of time for you to, with all our busy schedules, for you to learn this stuff. So thanks so much. I'm going to quit rambling, get off here. Have a great day, and play some great guitar. God bless.